This is Modern Persian Food,
a culinary podcast for today's food enthusiast.
We talk about classic Persian flavors,
modern recipes,
and embracing culture and identity through food.
I'm Bita.
And I'm also Bita.
Welcome to our show. Welcome to our annual Yalda episode 173. It's hard to believe that this is our fifth time covering this beautiful Persian tradition. This feature has become one of our favorite cultural spotlight episodes of the whole year. From staying up late, enjoying music and poetry, to indulging in rich, delicious, sultry foods, we have shared an intimate look into how Yalda night, also called Shab Yalda, is celebrated. We've had family members featured in our previous episodes, and we've shared poetry and translations ourselves. Today, in addition to being joined by my lovely co-host, Bita June, we feature several prominent Persian food and cultural community members. This year, the winter solstice, Yalda night, will occur on Saturday, the 21st in the morning. It's the shortest day and the longest night. So with all that being said, I wanted to just say hello to you, Bita, and let me know what you want to add to this special episode about Yalda.
Yeah. Hi, Bita June. Hi, everyone. Happy early Shab Yalda, the longest, darkest night of the year where we celebrate the newborn sun. I agree. This is one of my favorite episodes. When people ask me what are some of my favorite podcast episodes that we've done, I always talk about our Yalda episodes because it's such a special episode that we do. You know, we've had family members on the show. You've had your father-in-law, your family, music. I've had my dad who's passed away. We had a recording of him. My mom played some music. Your mom sang a song once. And we had my daughter, Sonia, doing a little song last year too. So it's super special because it really embraces the holiday and our cultural spotlight where we celebrate Yalda. We gather together, reading poetry, staying up late, eating. And this episode is going to be a little compilation of just that. We're going to have elements of storytelling. We'll have some music, family in this one as well. And of course, food. So if we want to kind of start with the food section, I think that'll be really fun. Before we get into that, just a couple of things about the foods that we eat on Shab Yalda. We want the bright red fruits of the season, really symbolizing the sun. So there's definitely pomegranates. There will be watermelon featured on your table. And of course, candles with the fire and energy of the flame being there. Ajil, our Persian trail mix, definitely on the table and eaten all throughout the evening, staying up late. And tokhme, like pumpkin seeds, roasted pumpkin seeds are always fun, or kind of any type of little like snack is always fun, alongside some sweets and of course some freshly brewed tea to keep you awake all night long.
Yeah, thank you for giving us the recap. We have some really good content and some special episodes, I agree. So be sure to click over and we'll include all the links there. And every year we just kind of go a bit deeper on all of these seasonal cultural spotlights, and it's become really meaningful to us for many reasons. And as we normally do, we talk about traditions, and then we also kind of try to inspire you to blend them into your everyday celebrations. And this one goes really well with winter holidays, with the pomegranates and the red color and gathering with friends. And really, it's the rebirth of the sun. And from this day forward, the days start to get longer and it just is naturally brighter and hopeful. So we have a really special first guest feature today. It is Omid Roustaei. Omid is a really wonderful guest that we've had twice, actually, on our show. The first time he talked to us about the Caspian Sea regional cooking. And the second time we had him on our show, it was covering the topic of kashk. He has a true passion for our culture through the lens of food. And I think that's why we keep inviting him back, because that is something that we share.
As the winter solstice approaches, marking the longest night of the year, Iranians gather with family and friends to celebrate Shab Yalda. It's a time for coming together, sharing meals, laughter, stories, and of course, reciting poetry by the renowned Persian poet Hafiz. And if there is one thing that is always present for this celebration, it is pomegranate. Pomegranates have a deep history in our culture, rich with poetic and symbolic meaning. This fruit is associated with life, love, beauty, and, for me, resilience, a reminder of the importance of celebrating and preserving our ancient traditions. On Shab Yalda, you'll see pomegranates not only as a beautiful fruit on the table, among other fruits, nuts, and sweets, but also as an essential ingredient in many dishes. One dish in particular is ash anar, a hearty, warming soup with many regional variations. I prepare mine with meatballs, yellow split peas, and aromatic herbs layered with pomegranates in form of juice, molasses, and fresh seeds. I only discovered this ash a few years ago while I was building my blog, and more personally when I began reconnecting with my own culture that I had drifted away from over time. Now I make this ash every year for Shab Yalda, and I share it with my friends to honor my roots and share a part of my heritage and history with my local community.
Thank you, Omid John. I really enjoy how Omid gives stories behind the recipes, and I'm so looking forward to his latest adventure, which is his cookbook. Omid has a cookbook coming out, which you can pre-order, and we'd love to support the people in our community. And you can pre-order this cookbook. It's called Bitter and Sweet. And if you don't already follow Omid, the Caspian chef, please do. He's a lovely human, and we just so have appreciated all of his contributions to our podcast. I did make the recipe for this soup. It is delicious. I didn't have every single ingredient, so I used what I had, and I was so pleased. It brought back memories. I've had this soup, once I had this more authentic version that Omid shared on his website, The Caspian Chef. I remembered having this soup many times, and the flavor combo, the sweet, tangy, sweet and sour flavor is like no other, and the herby meatballs are my favorite. It's really, really good. Last year, I had the honor of attending the Persian Place Yalda event in San Diego, and I got to meet Sadri Hedayat, who put the event on, and we did also serve a pomegranate soup. The chef who made it made her own variations, and she had added beet, and so it had changed the flavor, and it was also served at room temperature. So it was very different than the one that I cooked in this more authentic way. And I really loved the recipe for it. And I encourage you to try. I'm going to incorporate it into my holidays. So yeah, Bita June, I hope that you will join me in what is becoming some of our annual traditions now with the cookie party and blending pomegranates into my cookie exchange, and I will make you some so you can try it.
Yes, that sounds delicious. Yes, Ash Anar is so special. I remember growing up, we would have a family friend who would have events at her home and, like mehmuni. And before the main meal was served, she would pass out these little bowls of ash anar. And I remember it was very different from anything that I had had before. To your point, the sweet and the sour and the savory all mixed together makes it super delicious. So I think that's a perfect soup for the winter season, especially Yalda, and especially incorporating it in some of your holiday gatherings and, of course, your cookie party, which is always so much fun.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to try it even if you don't have every ingredient, and that goes with any Persian recipe. You can make it your own. I didn't have every single herb. I used the herbs that I had. I used a dry mint because I only had dry mint. And I actually added some spinach because I like to get that extra nutrition boost.
Great idea.
I used, I think, a little bit less of pomegranate juice and molasses. So mine might have been a bit of a lighter version of the soup. But It's really good. I want to make some more.
Yeah, it's great to get inspired by some of these products and some of these dishes to really kind of customize it to what works for you, what you have in your kitchen, what you have as your family preferences. So definitely get inspired, try out some of these ingredients, have some pomegranate juice that you're going to be sipping on, incorporate it into some of your soups, and see what kind of lively and bright flavor it brings.
Yeah, one more note. I didn't have the yellow split peas that are in Omid's recipe, but I did have a little bit of Trader Joe's Harvest Blend, which is, I don't know if you've seen it, but they're dry couscous. It has a few yellow split peas and it has some other grains.
Oh.
And it worked just fine because the soup does have some other grains. It has a little bit of rice. And so I might just make it that way. It's one of those like accidental substitutions that turned out really well in the soup.
Yeah. And if you could have a hack like that that'll make making the soup easier or making any of your dishes easier, then please, by all means, embrace those products that you can use to really simplify and make it easier to make these delicious foods.
Absolutely. You can make your meatballs in advance. I used, a meat substitute, but you could use any kind of meat for the little meatballs. The one that I had last year at the San Diego event was vegetarian. There was no little meatballs, but I do love them. I love the flavor of them and what it adds. And it reminds me of what I guess like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely with the additional texture. Great. Okay, well, thank you so much, Omid John. That was so lovely. We always love having you on the show. We look forward to additional engagements where we can interact with you and feature you to our audience. So thank you, Omid John. And so now that we've kind of talked a little bit about food, let's go on to our next stage of our Yalda episode. However way you guys want to celebrate your Shab Yalda, you can celebrate it right on the eve of Yalda on that Friday night leading up to the actual day, staying up late, or sometimes when you can't necessarily gather on that day. I know personally I'm going to be traveling on that day, but I still will be celebrating Yalda a little bit early. So celebrate whenever works for you and your family and your friends. Gather together, incorporate it into your holiday events. And for the next section that we're going to be doing, we're going to be incorporating storytelling. Now, if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that I love this writer, Anahita Tamaddon, who is local here in the Bay Area. She lives in Oakland and she has a variety of different children's books for Persian holidays. And I love it. I have several of her books, and her Mehragan book, we read that actually a few months ago in our Mehragan celebration that we attended and participated in. She has a Nowruz books, Yalda books. I've read this Yalda book into my children's classrooms before in the past and celebrated and shared our culture with them. So we actually asked her to do a little storytelling for us. She has generously read the entire story of Fereydoon and the Serpent King, and we will feature the whole recording of the whole story on our website or on our YouTube page. I'll go ahead and link it in our show notes so that you can go and listen to the whole story if you like. But for purposes of today's episode, we are going to go ahead and play the very ending of this so that you can get a real feel of how it feels like to be participating in the storytelling elements of Yalda.
He shut the cave entrance with a boulder and headed back to the city. For the next 3 days, Iran celebrated the defeat of the Serpent King with a buzzing festival. Musicians, dancers, and singers came out on the streets of the capital to celebrate Iran's freedom. Cooks and bakers gave away food to the poor, and poets wrote new poems about Kaveh, Fereydoon, and the army that defeated Zahak. Fereydoon was only 16 years old and knew nothing about how to rule a country, but the people of Iran believed in destiny, and so they chose Fereydoon to be their next king. Kaveh assured Fereydoon that he would be there to help. Fereydoon decided to live among the people and built a house in the middle of the city, next to Kaveh's house. He brought his mother to live with him, and she planted a beautiful garden with orange and jasmine in the backyard. As the years went by, Fereydoon relied on the people he trusted and used his strength to achieve his goals. He also worked on his weaknesses. Many believed that what happened to Fereydoon was fate, but Fereydoon knew only one thing for certain. Anyone can be a hero if they work on their strengths and take responsibility for their choices. And that was the lesson Fereydoon taught his children and grandchildren.
Thank you so much, Anahita June. We love that, and such great life lessons and morals at the end here to really enlighten us as we celebrate the sun and really focus on our family and growth this year.
Thank you so much. I listened to the entire story, and I encourage you to. Anahita gives us a special treat with her soothing voice, even though this is a story about kind of conquering good over evil, which is a theme of Yalda. And, there's a bad king and a good king, and it's really exciting, snakes and serpents. So even though I didn't have the book in front of me, I really appreciated her soothing voice describing it, and it allowed me to visualize what this tale might have looked like. And so it was a really special treat. Thank you. And I'm happy that we got to share the positive notes at the end of this story. So many thanks to you, Anahita. Please keep sharing your wonderful stories with us, and we hope to meet you one day since you're kind of in our area.
Yes, indeed. We'll link to her Amazon storefront with all of her books. So please go ahead and support Anahita June. And if you do want to hear the whole story again on your Shab Yalda celebration, please feel free to listen and enjoy that as well. All right, so we got food, we got storytelling. Let's talk about family. So as I mentioned, my daughter Sonia last year sang a little song from her Persian class that she was attending about Yalda, about Shab Yalda. So that's really fun if you guys want to listen to the past episodes and listen to all the people that we featured. So this year, we are actually featuring another one of my kids, my other kid, my son Cyrus, and he is going to read a quote from Rumi for us, and I'm super excited about it. This quote that he reads, I had this quote handwritten on a little piece of paper, and it was on my refrigerator, tacked up with a metal magnet on my refrigerator in San Francisco when I lived in San Francisco. And when I moved to New York, I took that little piece of paper and it displayed proudly on my refrigerator when I lived there too. And so it's kind of been a little bit of a quote that has played kind of just like an interesting role in my life. I always kind of go back to it. But here is Cyrus reading this quote.
Quote from the poet Rumi, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek, and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it.
So that's Cyrus reading that little quote from Rumi.
So sweet. Tell us, how old is Cyrus?
Cyrus just turned 7 years old, and he was excited to be on the podcast for the first time with this little quote.
Good job, Cyrus.
Aw, thank you. When the quote says your task is not to seek for love, love here, the way that I interpret it, is not just love between two people or between family, but this is love for areas in life where you feel passion. And so I think it just really rang true for different elements and stages of my life. So we were happy to share that with you and incorporate a little bit of family into our Yalda discussion today.
Well, how fun. Thank you so much, Cyrus. I'm proud of you. And I love that poem, Bita June. And now it's going to have even more meaning, I think, for your family, now that you've shared it with all of our listeners. Okay, well, we've had a recipe, we've had a story, we've had a beautiful little poem, and Yalda Night wouldn't be the same without a music feature.
Yes, and we thought that no better person to showcase today than Amir Etemadzadeh, who has actually done our intro music and our outro music custom for our show, that it would be great if we could feature some of his music here.
everyone, and happy Yalda and Winter Solstice from all of us at Amir School of Music. Tonight, on the longest night of the year, we have remembered that even in the darkest times, light and new opportunities awaits just ahead. Just like each note we play brings us closer to harmony, tonight brings us closer to a brighter future. So let's gather, enjoy some music, snack on pomegranate and sweets, and maybe try a new recipe from the world of modern Persian food. Here is to hope, harmony, and a beautiful new season.
Thank you so much, Amir Can. That is so beautiful. Amir School of Music, where they has a music school and fostering a loving community and empowering artists, not only in person, but over Zoom calls. So definitely check him out. They have a passion for inspiring, healing, and connecting with others. So thanks again, Amir Can.
I love it. And our intro and outro music is an original composition of Amir. As you said, he created that for us, so it's so special. Persian music has unique instruments, and from what I understand, Amir Can does teach some of the specialized Persian instruments, so that's really cool. This was a really great episode. I love how we have been incorporating people from our community and our family to make Yalda Night come to life for you as a listener. We hope we've inspired you to incorporate this tradition into your winter holidays. I know I'm going to, and every year I incorporate it a little bit more and more. And you all have inspired me to add more pomegranates. So my cookie party this year is going to be PJs and pomegranates.
I love it.
So folks can come either in their pajamas or just in red, which represents the pomegranates.
Yeah, it's always fun for us to kind of share these additional elements as we, in our podcast, we talk about food all the time and also culture and identity. So we hope that we have inspired you guys to celebrate Yalda, and you can, even listen to some of the stuff that we've provided here or celebrate with your family and friends. And we'd love to know how that goes for you. Please send us pictures of your table, of the things you eat, some audio clips, video clips. We love all of that, and we'll share that on our social media.
We've had so much fun sharing with you. Do share the pictures. Stay well. Best wishes, and we'll see you in the new year.
Yeah, stay tuned for our first episode of the new year. Is going to be all about your kitchen gadgets, what you need to be cooking some Persian food. So stay tuned for that at the beginning of the year, and hope that everyone has a great start to 2025 already, and hopefully everyone will be happy and healthy and successful together.
Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app, or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and see you next time.